This is a picture of 7 successful, driven Black women. But despite all of their talent and degrees, the American dream remains out of reach for most of them because they hold over $1 million in student debt between them. My name is Ashley Harrington, and I am one of those women. Student debt is a big part of my work, but it also impacts my personal life every day. That's how I know that we can't talk about student debt without talking about race and talking about gender. We have to center Black women because so many people who look like me are struggling to achieve personal and financial goals, even as they secure academic and professional accolades. Student debt in America is at crisis levels. $1.7 trillion for 45 million borrowers, and women hold almost 2/3 of that debt. And borrowers are struggling. Even before the COVID crisis, more than 2 in 5 were in default or serious delinquency. For a generation of borrowers, the promise of higher ed has not been fulfilled, and it's worse for Black borrowers due to centuries of racially exclusionary policies and practices. If you ask any architect, a strong foundation is essential to a building's ability to withstand environmental forces and even time. And that's the role that wealth plays for financial security. For white Americans, wealth and its components provide a strong foundation that protect them against economic recessions, public health crises, and everything in between. It also enables them to access additional opportunities and affordable credit. Meanwhile, for families of color who have less than 1/8 or 1/10 of the wealth of white families, their safety net is virtually non-existent, and they have little to protect them against even the ordinary pitfalls of life. And when you couple that with the racial income gap, the struggle with long-term indebtedness becomes too real. More Black students than ever are going to college, and more jobs are requiring those degrees. But because of the debt they must take on and targeting by predatory for-profit colleges, Black students are not getting the same results as their white peers. Even when we're able to earn a middle-class income, we often can't lead a middle-class life. For Black borrowers who entered higher ed in 2003, 2004, almost half had defaulted by 2016, and up to 70% are projected to default by 2024. Student debt has the unique distinction of being a product of the racial wealth gap and exacerbating it at the same time. For families of color, this is a multi-generational issue. Parents are taking on debt for their kids to go to college, even as they continue to pay off their own. This would be a problem even without the racial equity component, because it's also a serious drain on our economy. $1.7 trillion and counting is not okay, and it's literally crushing the dreams of so many. When millions of people can't buy houses, can't start businesses, and can't save for retirement or contribute to the economy in other ways, we all suffer. A major pillar of the American economy has always been homeownership, and projections show that the future of the homeownership market is majority borrowers of color. But if those borrowers who are supposed to be able to buy homes can't do so because they can't save for a down payment or qualify for a mortgage, our entire economy is at risk. Bold solutions are needed. First and foremost, we have to cancel at least some of the debt. Repayment terms are 20 or 25 years for some borrowers, and many borrowers, most of them people of color, have been in repayment for over a decade and never touched their principal balance. My organization, the Center for Responsible Lending, has found that even a limited amount of cancellation, $20,000 per borrower, would have a profound impact, not just on individuals, but the whole economy. It would completely cancel the debt of 64% of all borrowers, 79% of defaulted borrowers, and it would only cost us $260 billion over 10 years, which is much cheaper than most of the corporate bailouts we've seen. I know that many of you watching have your own struggle with student debt. You can find more resources on the issue and the civil rights implications on the CRO website. We also have info on other solutions, such as affordable repayment reform, debt-free college, and accountability for for-profits and servicers. You can also take action. You can hold town halls in your community about student debt and its impact on your state and your own life. You can call your lawmakers and demand cancellation. Higher ed was supposed to be the great equalizer. Instead, it's exacerbating racial wealth inequality. We need our government to step up and address this crisis so that borrowers of color don't fall further behind. Wall Street doesn't need more relief. We do.